Okay, Aquarius, so there's so many things to really, it's like there are so many things for you to really ask yourself in terms of what is the thing that really does need to change? What is the pattern that officially cannot and will not serve me moving forward? And the world, right? If it doesn't serve you, it doesn't serve the world. So I want to focus on this Nine of Swords to start with, because I was looking, just like, like I said, there's something with roles. There's something in terms of, I don't know, like there's both mother cards are coming out. Okay, so for those of you who are women watching, right, the females out there watching, there might be that strong desire to settle and to have a child and or to grow your family, to have another baby, or maybe there's some of you have been struggling with a pregnancy and there's just like that whole what do I need to do to make it happen kind of thing. Or is that really what I want now? Like maybe you're switching gears on that, either way, right? For those men out there, there could be people who are, like good partner options, male or female, doesn't matter what your sexual preference is, but there's maybe one person, maybe two people. Maybe for some of you, this is like an illusion or some kind of like unattainable goal, or it has been in the past, of like how much you idealize some kind of traditional life, how much you idealize the mother of your child, and or to be a mother or to have a family. Now in a business sense, because not everyone's here for babies and all that, right? But I mean, in a business sense, there is a leadership aspect coming through with both of these. There's a really creative aspect. Maybe there's something regarding your creativity that's really blocked, and you have these visions of like doing these amazing, groundbreaking, industry disrupting things, and yet somehow you just can't quite seem to get yourself to that point, to write that book, to write that article, to paint this, to do this, like whatever it is. Or with technology, maybe you're some kind of an inventor or something, right? But there's this whole idea of changing the world, and yet to get it to that point seems really, really hard to grab onto. So you are going to have an enlightening experience at some point. It might not necessarily be in August. I'm getting a Virgo vibe, so maybe late August and into September this might happen, where your perspective on how much you've idealized something is completely like shattered, right? And you're like, oh my gosh. Like because I'm seeing just so much mother stuff coming in. So let's say you're a man and you're watching this as an example, and you have this idea of what you want the mother of your children to be like. But it's so idealized that you forget that this is an actual person, right? The mother of your child has to be an actual person. They are going to be imperfect. They are going to be annoying sometimes. They are going to right? There needs to be a coming to earth, coming down back to reality, very grounded with the Knight of Coins. So there seems to be like like you're being tortured by something that you want. And yet that thing that you want, or that desire, it's like the desire itself that needs to be put in check. Because why do you want it so badly, right? It's like torture. Why do you want it so badly? Why is that the thing? So maybe there's been some kind of fixation, all right? And it's going to be important for you, even like if you're a woman, let's again go back to the child analogy. It can be anything, but it's just an example for visualization. If you are wanting children and you're fantasizing this beautiful family, like it's not going to be the way you think, right? It's going to be really hard. It's going to be times when you just, your kids drive you crazy, right? And it's like, that, But still, it's almost as though you're over idealizing that part of it too. There's something really magical, like it's maybe a little too magical. But that perspective is going to shift real fast, real soon. Coming up here, there's going to be something that happens that really kind of shakes you up. So while I love the starlight for you, okay, I just don't want to see you get lost in it either. Get lost so much in the starlight that you forget to come home and grab the chariot. So let's let's do this. Let's move forward into the starlight with skepticism and caution, but healthy, not in a protective pushing people away, not pushing anything away. It's just very, very neutral. Getting yourself to a place where you start really simplifying your life. That's been a theme for all the signs this month and like the past few months, is like simplify, simplify, simplify. Because if you don't, that Saturn-Pluto thing is going to really hit you super hard. So reduce your obligations, keep only the things that really truly matter, only the people that really truly like love you and you love them 100%, you know, because there's still some going back and forth in regards to like, am I really ready to let these swords go? I think you look at these swords from here, you look at these swords from this perspective, and you're like, yes, I'm totally done. And yet somehow they're still there, they're still present. And it's this idea that you can't seem to really shake. For some reason, I feel like this pattern, this patterning or this structuring that's going to be kind of getting destroyed over the past few months with the Saturn-Pluto thing, it's going to be, for you, more in the realm of the idealization, because it's right 12th house stuff. So there is a quality of delusion stuff. So anything that's been overly fantasized. Hierophant. There does seem to be a clash between what you want or what you think you want and what you do. This might be a time for you to truly align actions with desires. This is a harsh energy, and it is draining you, right? This is often a card that suggests a battle that cannot be won. This is always my card of toxic patterns and bad habits, is what I always say. And it is, it's like those things, those recurring themes that continue to come back in your life time and time and time again. And first, like here it is again, right? And yet your higher self, the Hierophant, is like screaming at you. Screaming at you. Knight of Swords. This is not a super friendly energy. It's really abrasive. And I know this is a card of Gemini, but man, I don't see it Gemini at all. Like, I think that's really Aries-like, or very Scorpio-like, very Mars. Let's just say Mars, okay? It's very directed, it's very clear, it's very aggressive, and it really doesn't care, right? So when your intuition is so loud to the point where it almost hurts you, but it also doesn't care, it's telling you, get on that chariot. Like, why are you messing around? Here, Five of Swords, okay? Now, this could be a relationship that you're in that's not healthy. Okay, maybe there is some kind of like third party thing and it's like clearly get out. Someone may be running away from you, or you may be running away from them. Although I do see Aquarius being quite detached with the Hermit energy that came out. It's real important for you to not let your ego get the best of you. This is a battle of self. It's like you against yourself. And that's just the nature of the 12th house. That's just the nature of what's going on. And yeah, maybe the Nine of Swords is a lot more intense than you thought. You may even be fighting cultural things too. This might not even be in a relationship. It's like you fighting the societal expectations, right? Hierophant. It's all about tradition and culture, structure. that which is expected of you, the dogma. Are you going to follow that path or not? If you don't want to, that is okay. Nobody cares. But if you want to, then why are you like pulling away? It's almost as though the meditation is more important at this time now than, like, way more important now than it ever has been. Because maybe there is someone that's on the brink of like really getting hurt, or there is someone that is, I don't know, there's like a gatekeeper aspect I feel with these women. Like the female aspect is, even here with the High Priestess, there's a gatekeeping. Like if you lean into it, if you lean into the thing that you're naturally resisting, that's how you set yourself free. That's just what I'm feeling. Two of Swords reversed with the Two of Cups. This is the quality of talking and communicating and, you know, really meeting someone in the middle and putting it out there in an honest and a vulnerable way. Something is absolutely changing. You are absolutely changing. And you know what, guys? This is not just Leo season. This is going to move through into Virgo season too, because all the Mars, the Venus, the Sun, the Mercury, that's going to be in Virgo, 8th house for you. So yeah, like this is the beginning of a pretty amazing like blossoming. Okay, so maybe this is kind of the beginning stages of like, okay, something really needs to end. Maybe that's a mental pattern. Maybe it is a relationship. Maybe it is you need to quit your job. Maybe it is something like that, right? Something does need to end in order to give birth to something new. That's why this birthing children analogy is coming through, even though it might not be an actual child, okay? It's the birth of something new. That's really what's trying to come through, and you may be resisting it. But that's not what the cards want. That's not what your soul or your higher self is really wanting of you. Now you are having to do something. Look, this Ace of Cups is a beautiful card. It suggests love. Here's a card of weddings or stability. There's real estate qualities that come through in terms of like moving to a new place or buying a home or something like that. There's stability. There's foundation. There's roots. Some of you settling down. And that Ace of Cups is on the other side of that. Just because it's reversed doesn't mean that it's not there or that it's not coming. It just means that something else needs to happen in order to bring that Ace of Cups in. Okay? Some of you may entirely throw culture and societal expectations just completely out the window, and that's going to be the right answer for you, okay? Because that's probably really what your gut is saying to some extent. Others of you, it's the opposite. So each of you is going to have your own interpretation of this. Some of you are going to go kind of against the grain, and that's great. Some of you are going to go with the grain, and that's also great. But it's really what's right for you. Your magician is of course, the magician, literally, so he can create anything that he wants, any outcome that he wants. Some of you want happiness and joy and peace with people, with a person. Others of you want to be alone. Okay, so go for it. Do the thing, right? Whatever is going to make your life easier, man. This is simplification. Put down the stress, put down the Nine of Swords, put down that inner battle, and just make it happen. And some of you might be trying to convince yourselves that you don't know what you want, but with these cards, there is like no question that you know what you want. It's just a matter of what you have to do to get what you want. And some of you just are in the battle of, am I willing to do what I need to do? That's the real dialogue that's going on. Am I willing to do it? but you know what you want. Okay, so here's the Queen of Swords. And she's stubborn. What did I say when this, like, I'm sensing a real stubborn streak with you guys. You're analyzing and reanalyzing, and am I sure? And like, yeah, I'm sure, but back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Conviction. Like I said, you're going to feel compelled to go somewhere, to do something, to have a it's an inevitability with the Tower card. It's inevitable, so you might as well just do it now. The Aquarians that are like owning themselves right now, there's no problem. None of this is a problem. The Aquarians that are in denial, big problems, because the universe is going to come and tear this structure down for you. So you really don't have control, and that kind of sucks. So the diplomatic, right? This is the card of doing what you need to do. Doing what feels right. And even if that does mean hurting someone or turning someone away or whatever, or even if that means putting yourself on the line and telling someone you really love them, even if you don't know for sure that they're going to say it back, like there's a quality of vulnerability coming through for sure. And I know Aquarius is not usually confrontational. You don't normally like to have those kinds of face-to-face conversations. Of course, you're perfectly capable of it. It's like no one really likes to do that. It's hard sometimes. But I see you doing it because it's right. And I know you don't want to live with any regret. So some of you put yourself on the line. Some of you say the things. Some of you make the big decisions and you just do it. Okay, 8 of Coins, it's about doing. Just thinking here. 9 of Coins reversed, King of Wands, and the 5 of Cups. I want you to be sure that you are not projecting into your future the recurring pattern of your past. Like, I don't want you to be breaking up with someone because you are projecting the failure of your past relationships onto them, okay? This is a time for true healing. Excuse me. This is a time of true healing for you. This is a time of true healing for them. And it's a time where you can say, what was in the past was in the past. We are no longer going to feed it because we want a blank slate. Okay, now for the like I'm saying, like there's a quality of maybe over idealizing something, and that it's like the gap between where you are and actually having that big thing, it's causing so much disruption, and it's actually maybe even the source or the reason why you keep pushing people away, because maybe there's this quality of like the situation's not good enough, the people aren't good enough, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not ready, or all this stuff. Be careful of how much you are building up an idea in your mind. Now is not the time, okay? Now is a time for reality and practicality and honesty and vulnerability while simultaneously being open, okay? And simultaneously walking in that starlight. The reason why I'm saying that is because this 9 of Coins is reversed. And while there's a big picture, right? I always say my Steve Jobs of the Tarot, King of Wands, it's a Leo aspect. It's about owning your heart. It's about having everything you want. It's about me, me, me. It's a little bit selfish, but in a good way. And yet, why is he looking at the 9 of Coins reversed? So you have all this, and yet you're looking at the 9 of Coins and saying, but I'm not ready. Right? I'm not ready, or it's not good enough, or this person's not good enough, or I'm not at the right place, my money's not the best. I got to get this amount of money in order to do X, Y, and Z. And like there's all these reasons. What did I say in the beginning in the general reading? There's all these reasons. And none of them matter. This is your life. Right? This is your life. So tap into the Ace of Wands, which you know, and you're going to know when it comes in. You're going to pretend like you're confused for a minute, but it's like when you know, you know. When that person comes in, you know. And here I see a very, it's on one hand, of course, it's your intuition. We have the High Priest and the High Priestess, right? The Hierophant and the High Priestess. We have the Guardian of the Veil, who is, so here she is letting certain information come to your consciousness so that you can make proper decisions. So your gut instinct is on fire, so you know. And there could also be a watery person in your realm, a Scorpio, Pisces, Cancer. Okay, I often see this as being very scorpionic though, because it's so quiet. More Scorpio and Cancer than Pisces, whereas it's real secretive. It's very repressed. It's very quiet. And if this person, if it is in fact a person, if it ever feels like it is being pushed away, then it just stays away. Not a lot of fight, right? All these feminine energies coming through. I mean, it's real feminine. So there's no activity from the other person. It could be a man or a woman, doesn't matter. They are taking on the more feminine role. And they are not going to be approaching you because they're sensing something from you. You're doing a hermit mode starlight thing. They sense that you're doing something and you're processing something, so they're just letting you have your peace. You're going to pretend or feel like really confused about how you feel about this whole thing, and yet you're not confused at all. So you can play this game with yourself if you want, but I mean, like, why waste the energy? The only reason a person would be playing this game with themselves and like saying, I don't know how I feel and I don't know what to pick and I don't know what to do. The only reason is because you're avoiding your Chariot, right? You'd rather cling to your Nine of Swords, right? You'd rather cling to your Nine of Swords than get on your Chariot. And this High Priestess, actually the Ace of Wands, I actually feel is maybe one of the closest things that you're going to get to in this round or this season or this cycle. It's one of the closest things for you to get as close as possible to that ideal vision that you have. So I'm telling you to go for it. I'm telling you to go head first, okay? Two of Cups reversed, the Devil. So here we have the Two of Cups upright. Here we have the communication aspect. Here we have the lack of communication aspect. So on one side, the more and more you hold back, the less and less you communicate, the more and more tethered or trapped and suffocated you feel. So you may feel the opposite, like, yeah, but if I tell this person it's going to cause a squabble or whatever. Well, okay, fine, but then at least it's out there and you're free to roam. And you're free to maneuver accordingly. But the more you restrain, the more, like, it's like the life becomes more tight. You become more restricted. And maybe you feel like you're operating on some level of secrecy yourself with the High Priestess, operating on some level of being quiet and not letting someone in and maybe being a little bit blocked or whatever, or afraid, especially if you're sensing from them that now they're afraid. So it could be really going both ways. I'm not trying to like blame you guys. It's just this is intense and we know what your stars are doing. So there's a lot of kind of, there's a lot of things that are ready to come out. And there's a lot of changes that are ready to happen. So the less you communicate, the more trapped you're going to feel. So if you just open your mouth and start talking, things are going to, yeah, you'll hit a Five of Wands, sure. That's in and out, easy peasy, flash in a pan, just like a tower. but at least you know the change is going to happen, you know? Hermit mode. This is you, I think, coming out of it. The liberation, I don't know how productive this is, if I'm being honest with you. You know, what do you owe the people? Like, do you owe them an explanation? Is that what it is? Do you owe them some time, right? Do you owe them a sit down, a face-to-face? This is you taking care of what you owe somebody else, I think. Because be careful how long you stay in hermit mode, because you can do this oscillation for, I mean, some people do it for years and they never like make the change. So the thing with the Chariot is like, it will always come back around. It always will resurface. It will always give you an opportunity to like go down a new path or whatever. And some of you want to stay where you are, and that is fine. Nothing wrong with that. Like, no one's going to be judging you because no one cares. But like, is that really what you want, to stay in a place of deliberation? You know, and then the remaining star, I see this as the inner battle, actually. Sometimes I see it as, you know, other people, like their opinions, their ideas, or whatever. But I see you have this Ace of Wands, this single wand here, which is the same thing here. You have this directionality, okay? You have this new kind of tunnel to look down, and it's like you're hanging on to it for dear life, right? You're hanging on to it for dear life. So some of you, you actually are going to get really, really close to this thing that you're wanting. This whole thing that's causing this in the first place is actually here. It's just, like I said, the perception of you versus where you are now versus where you want to be. It's the perception of the gap between. But that perception is not real, because I'm seeing, like, here it is. Right? This is you arriving at the destination that you actually always wanted. It's just different than you pictured, but that's okay. Be careful that you're not someone who identifies as being a person who dreams about this thing, where sometimes people have a difficult time converting from I'm a person who wants this to I'm a person who has this. I'm a person who wants to get married versus I am a person who's married. Right? Like, maybe you're having a hard time with bridging that gap and making that leap there. And in this chaos and conflict card, we get the Knight of Cups, which we see as being a follow your heart, as like quality. It's following your heart, living romantically, right? Kind of enjoying the passion of life and enjoying the whole thing and enjoying the process and allowing yourself to be fluid and a lot of movement. And this is Pisces, right? This is a card of Pisces. So to be like a Pisces means to be flexible, means to be mutable. What does water do? It just simply goes around the boulders, just goes around the rocks, it goes around the mountains, but it carves its own path in doing so, and it becomes stronger, right? It becomes more directed. Like, the more fluid you are, the more directed you become. It's kind of counterintuitive, but it is how it works. This is a result of being rigid, like continually trying to overpower the rocks. You know? So you don't have to do that. You don't have to do it to yourself. You're being guided into a mysterious place, but it just might bring you everything you ever wanted. Okay? So roll with the punches. Okay? All right, Aquarius. Crazy reading, but also really beautiful if you see it that way, right? Really, really beautiful. So I'm going to leave you with that. Have an excellent Leo season. Take care, and I'll see you next month. Take care.